Slide brakes on plow and parish, fields still wait, the ink still dries. Letters ride on urgent horses, liberty in hurried lines. Leave the furrow, drop the ledger, hear that distant rolling sound.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever it is you see this. I am Steve, and this is American Gazette. Today, we're going to catch up on the stories for the last week. And we're going to start off with doing something we don't see a lot of folks do. We're going to do a little follow-up to a story that we covered before. So let me get that lined up on here. Oh, wrong button. All right. If you guys have been with us a minute, I am still a little rusty at how to click all these dang buttons in the right order. All righty. Here we go. So we talked about this before. It says, breaking. Washington State passes bill allowing non-citizens to become law enforcement officers and prosecutors. This means individuals who have not sworn allegiance to the United States can jail and prosecute American citizens. All right. So is there some truth to that? Yeah, a little bit, but it's not exactly what it sounds like. Yeah? How do we know? Because we looked it up. So let's go over here and go here, and we will go directly to the bill. Okay, we're going to go right there and click that one. There we go. Here we go. Legal scan, bringing people to the process. Dun, dun, dun. So here's the bill, yeah? And it says, concerning agencies, firefighters, prosecutors, and general or limited authority law enforcement, extending eligibility for employment to all U.S. citizens and persons legally authorized to work in the United States under federal law. So that's the catch. They have to be legally here. They have to already have all the paperwork. So they're not just taking dudes that just crossed the border or just got over here or whatever, however the heck they get here, and say, hey, you can be cops and prosecutors now, okay? That's not what it says. But if you read the thing, it kind of leads you to believe that like some dude that just walked all the way up here from, I don't know, Ecuador is going to show up at your local PD and be like, hey, I want to be a cop now. That's not how it's working, all right? They got to have a green card. They got to have legal citizenship in order to hold that position, all right? Why do we bring that up? Because stories like that fly with the headlines, kind of under the propaganda stuff that we talk about. And, yeah, so we want to clear that up. That's what it actually is. All right, now moving along. Same lady, this is where I get it from. I gotta remember to say where I get stuff from, right? So, breaking, Seattle Police Chief Dorsch Douche has informed officers that they will be disciplined, placed on leave if they do not document ICE activity in the area. This includes video recordings of ICE conducting operations and requesting ICE agents' identification. This is true. This is actually what they want them to do. Let's see. Additionally, the city allocated $4 million through the Office of Immigration and Refugee Affairs for legal defense, rapid response services, and basic needs to support for immigrants. Whatever. They've also installed more than 650 signs around the city banning ICE staging and operations. Let's see. State Police Chief says supervisors is required to respond to any reported ICE activity. This, despite extreme staffing shortages where officers already respond to priority 1 calls, life-threatening situations. Yeah, this is true. She got this one 100% correct. There's nothing misleading. That's what this dude wants them to do. This dude wants them to confront the ICE agents and make them prove they're ICE agents. They also, the mayor or the governor there, they also wanted all the information given to civilians. So I got notes, by the way, keep me on track here. And the county there in King County is following suit. They told their people to come up with something similar to make the sheriff's departments in there do the exact same thing. So the government folks are trying to turn the police against the police, basically. I wonder who that helps. All right, moving along here. We got this story here, all right, because a lot of stuff has been going on. And one of the things we do here is we're not just going to jump. You're not going to see me jump on here unless something really big happens. You're not going to see me just jump on here so I can get likes and clicks and try to promote whatever, right? So we got this video here, and this is where I got it from. Southwest Flight 2094 diverted to Atlanta due to security threat. This video shows the passengers being detained by heavily armed security officers, and it says the Democrats are holding stuff up. So let's see what happened here. Now, okay, the reason they're telling them to put their heads down, their hands up, is because anybody that's not doing that is probably a threat to other passengers and the law enforcement coming on board. Now, for some folks out there, I want you to remember, yeah, those cops are dressed appropriately for what they got to do. Yeah, everybody says, oh, they're militaristic. No, they got equipment they need for what they're confronting.
Stand up, let's go. Stand up. Everybody heads down. Stand up. Stand up.
All right, so we see that guy getting arrested, right? All right, what was the outcome of that, though? What is the follow-up to that story? Because nobody follows it up. I just heard that was another terroristic threat. All right, so here's my notes. Let's see. No credible threat. The FBI and Atlanta Police Department interviewed the detained passenger and confirmed that no actual threat existed. No charges were filed. Authorities announced that the passenger would not face any charges following the investigation. And the root cause. Reporting indicates the scare may have been triggered by a misunderstanding over a passenger setting a phone timer for Ramadan prayer. So again, people will say, oh, look, there's another terrorist thing going on right there. Well, no, because we follow up stories. We're not just throwing them out there and being like, oh, look, right? No charges were filed. So they found out no threat was there, but they took precautionary steps to make sure nobody got hurt, right? All good. All right, moving along. This has got to be one of the funniest things. If you guys heard that, it's my phone. Funniest things that happen. You could not ask for better propaganda. Hold on, this is where I got it from. Lots of people have this picture. This is just where I got it from. So, and I agree with this statement. That's why I took it. This is a really all-time photo. A protester shouting about the pros of immigration is interrupted by Islamic terrorists throwing a bomb, jumping over him. You could not ask for better propaganda, a better visual representation of what's going on. Weak, cuckold, liberal douchebag, an Islamic terrorist using him as cover to throw a bomb at Americans. Yeah? You couldn't ask for a better one than that. And since then, this cuckold fella in the front has just shown his ass over and over again. Yeah? The guy behind him is admitted inspired by ISIS and wants to get him because they were messing around with his religion. That's where we're at, folks. There's a Muslim hiding behind a liberal douchebag throwing a bomb. That's the reality of where we're at. So going along with this here, we're going to do a couple other ones right here. So let's go and show the whole event, because this guy is starting off saying, you know, there are no illegals, all the stuff that you hear, everybody's welcomed, all the stuff you hear from the left. And then what happens? Oh, and let me add, note this flag back here. Yes, I'll cut to the chase on this one and not try to quiz anybody. This red flag right here is a communist, socialist, symbolic thing. Yeah, symbology is a big deal to them. The color red symbolizes their socialist, communist beliefs. And if I understand correctly, there was Islamic stuff written on the red flag.
We were born and raised in New York, and we want everyone here to stay in New York. You don't get to come from outside and then tell everyone else. We were born and raised.
Okay. You guys saw it, right? Oh, wait, hold on. This is where I got it from. I want to make sure you give credit where credit's due. We couldn't ask for something better to show what's going on out on the streets right now. This cuck, these lames, this probably Karen, we'll just assume she's a Karen, this cuck, all these people that think they're fighting the forces of evil, Orange Man bad, are out here doing their thing, being useful idiots for the communists, because we can see the symbology, And then what happens?
New York, and we want everyone here to stay in New York. You don't get to come from outside and then tell everyone else.
See that look on his face right there? That's when reality sets in. Oh wait, uh-oh, oh no. What just happened? Look at that right there, when he's realizing what's going on. Oh, maybe this isn't a fun game anymore. Yeah. If that would have exploded, he more than likely would have been injured. All right, now, here's the part where the little banner at the bottom comes into play. I do not care about your feelings. Sorry. Your feelings will be hurt when I do this next part. Here we go. So here's where I got this one from. Dude usually has good stuff. Yeah. Let's see. It says, holy crap, New York PD just confirmed that a Muslim deployed a real IED at an anti-Islam protest. It was real. Everybody knows that by now. It just failed to detonate, right? Okay, so here's this guy, jerk off, whatever his name is, right here in the middle. I personally got nothing for this dude. He's an idiot from January 6th who does idiot stuff. My biggest issue with this guy is the last video we showed of him a while back, he was running. This guy likes to go pick fights, and then he runs away. And he's wearing a costume, he's cosplaying, he's LARPing. He is wearing a plate carrier. Guess what he does not have in the plate carrier, okay? So I know, I'm going to piss some people off because they're like, oh, he's a hero for the cause. No, he's a moron. What was he doing? He was bringing a pig to toast it up or put it out in front of the mayor's house on Ramadan. All right, dude, if you're going to pick a fight, then fight, right? All right. So here's what happened on the other side of this. In that other incident, at the end of it, this has to be a new fake plate carrier because some lady got his plate carrier when he ditched it when he was running away from the fight that he picked. Anyway, so here's what happened on the other side of that equation when the dude threw the thing.
Support the white liberal women!
All right, so y'all seen where they looked down and saw that there was an explosive, right? That something got thrown at them and there was smoking and all kinds of other good stuff. Got nothing wrong with running away from that, okay? So let's differentiate between the other video we showed a while back when he was being just a puss and this one. If somebody throws an explosive device at you, seek cover. You might want to take the dog with him, though. That kind of annoys me. Watch.
Somebody threw a fucking bomb, bro.
Yeah, that was a nail bomb. You seen it? That's a nail bomb.
Shit.
What's a nail bomb?
Now, here's another issue I got. All these guys want to act like they're warriors for the cause, but they have no immediate action drills for this happening. Yeah? Okay, yeah, you're ready for the war, bro.
That was a nail bomb. Jesus is king, and he made it that nail bomb didn't go off. Jesus is king. Thank you, Lord God. Thank you, Lord God. Thank you, Lord God. They threw a nail bomb at us and it didn't explode because Jesus is still. Thank you, Jesus.
All right, the rest of him's just doing the thank you, Jesus thing, yeah? So again, if I hurt your feelings by saying that guy's not super cool, I don't care. All right, let me set this next one up here. I got to get past the commercials and stuff. And here we go. Pushing buttons. I know. Great YouTube. And here we go. Okay. This one's been giving me trouble this morning. All right. Chester County man who shot and killed officer had controversial social media presence. Let's see what the local news is saying. If I can get it to play. Come on. Here we go.
In Chester County tonight, outside the Coatesville State Police Barracks, a memorial growing for Corporal Timothy O'Connor, the state trooper who was shot and killed Sunday in Chester County. And News 8 is learning more about the man who investigators say shot Corporal O'Connor before killing himself. News 8's Jared Gish joins us with that information. Jared.
Lasmina, Michael, that man is 32-year-old Jesse Elks of Honeybrook, Chester County. News 8 combed through the social media of Jesse Elks. His Facebook page is filled with photos bearing filters and labels that say things like no borders, no cops, no cages, and ACAB, which is a slur against police officers. Others say the only good ice is water ice. No war, but class war. And nobody wants to play with me. That last filter features images of the communist hammer and sickle, which also appears on other photos that Elks posted. One of Elks' cover photos says, "I don't argue with people John Brown would have shot." John Brown was an American abolitionist who believed in using violent methods to end slavery in the U.S. Another cover photo features a picture of Abraham Lincoln riding a grizzly bear while holding the Emancipation Proclamation and an assault rifle. Investigators say they're treating Sunday's shooting as a murder-suicide and are looking into a possible motive. The State Police Troop J major case team, along with the Chester County District Attorney's Office, are investigating. And coming up at 5, News 8's Sarah Metz talks with a young man who knew and was inspired by Corporal O'Connor.
All right. So, in case you guys don't know, that officer, he walked up to a vehicle to do a traffic stop, and the dude shot him through the door. Because unlike some people believe, car doors don't stop bullets. Yeah? So now they're saying, oh, we need to find out the reasons why and all that. That's cool. That's an investigation stuff. We know why. John Brown Gun Club. If you don't know who they are, you probably should. If you've been with us for a while, then you obviously know who they are because we've discussed them before. Yet again, we're ahead of the power curve on stuff. I don't see a lot of people talking about that, though. Why? Because it doesn't fit the criteria for what they want to put out right now. So, clear case of lefty douchebag killing an officer. Yeah? But people seem to be ignoring it. All right, moving along here. And let me see where I'm at. Okay. So here's where I got this one from. Yeah. And Islamic communist Mondami, the mayor of New York, which he's both of those things, he says it, explains why he wants to empty out New York City jails and flood the streets with criminals. Violence is an artificial construct. Let's see. Hold on. Make sure I run it back. I want to make sure you hear it from his mouth.
Oftentimes, we've even found as legislators, when we go into these courts, the term violent crime is even used when people are stealing packages. Violent crime is even used when people are accused of burglary and there happens to be a housing unit in that same dwelling. So violence is an artificial construction. And we have to be very clear that what is happening here with these district attorneys, that is violence. That is violence at the highest degree. We have oftentimes...
So people can go and steal from you. They can rob your house, and that's cool. But the people committing real violence are the prosecutors. That's interesting. We're going somewhere with that. Because remember, those crimes don't really matter, right? All right. Let me get this one set up again. Okay. So I want to clear something up, especially for some of them super cool 2A guys, right? They want to say, oh, if there wasn't a violent crime, then they should have their 2A rights back, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, cool. Been saying for a while they don't know what they're talking about. And you go, what? Everybody has a right once they did their time. We won't discuss parole at the moment. But let's discuss, according to the federal government, what are considered nonviolent crimes according to the federal law that would shock most people. Let's see. So I asked the Google in the AI mode. You could do it too. You could look this up to make sure I'm not making it up. Let's see. Under federal law, nonviolent refers to crimes that do not involve the use of force, a threat of force, or physical injury. While many of these standard white-collar offenses, several specific federal statutes criminalize behaviors that might surprise the average person. So remember this when somebody's saying all nonviolent felons need to have their rights restored 100%. Right off the top, child pornography distribution and possession. Yeah. It's nonviolent. So every one of those 2A, ultimate, whatever you call it, extremists, well, no, that's not the right word. There's a word for it I can't think of. They want everybody that distributes and possesses child porn to get their rights back because they get rights back. Drug trafficking. Oh, yeah, drug trafficking. That doesn't affect anybody, right? That doesn't tear down entire communities. No. They should have all their rights back. Human smuggling. Oh, that's right. They should do that. Yeah. Anybody seen the trees along the border, southern border, of women's undergarments hung up because they were abused? But it's just human smuggling. They could be raped. It's okay. And burglary on federal property. All righty. Yeah, the same people that say that nonviolent people should have all their rights back, they also say thieves should have their hands cut off. But, we'll give them a gun, right? And then here's some of the silly ones: mail tampering, fish and wildlife, blah, blah, blah. That's just silly stuff. Does that make sense? But the big ones, let's go over it again, right? So next time you see a 2A guy screaming that convicted felons should have their rights back, yeah, that includes people with child pornography, drug trafficking, human smuggling. Yeah, but they should have their rights back because it gets clicks and lights. That's why. And then hold on, we're gonna go over here real quick. Hold on, let's grind this one in a little bit because we all know I like grinding points home. Let's see. Possession of child pornography again. Alrighty. Human smuggling, trafficking, arson of an unoccupied property. So burn somebody's house down, you get your gun rights back. Stealing stuff, possession of minute amount of drugs. Well, all right, we'll go with that one. You can escape. You can walk away. That's all right. Cyber stalking and hacking. That's all right. Bribery and racketeering. All righty. Those ones are okay. Somebody could bribe you and have all their rights back. Yeah. All right. Just want to make sure I covered all of them so somebody could say, oh, you missed this one or that one. Right. Because people are going to try to punch holes in that as soon as they see it and their little butts get hurt. All right. Hold on. Let me change my notes over to make sure I'm where I'm supposed to be. All right. So, in case some of you guys don't know, a large growing population of people in the world who are converting to Islam are Hispanics. Okay. And people say, what? Yeah, I know. There's a whole bunch of it. Started seeing it when I was working, and it just keeps going, right? Because, I don't know, because Islam's groovy to them, I guess. So here we go. To prove the point that they all don't look the same. It's not a race. So when people say, oh, you're a racist. No, it's not a race. Here's where I got this one from, but she got it from Fox. So let's see. Suspected ISIS operative arrested in California, found with homemade explosive devices. Wait. Packed with ball bearings, nails, screws, and nuts in his home during a raid on his house. Huh, that's interesting. The guy that threw the bomb, what was his bomb packed with? Oh, nails and stuff. I don't know.
In Southern California, the feds were moving in to arrest a man on charges of supporting the terror group ISIS when they found what appears to be a homemade bomb in his home in Long Beach. Marianne Rafferty, live in Los Angeles with more on that story. Marianne.
Yeah, good afternoon, John. A shocking discovery as federal investigators were arresting a suspected ISIS operative, a homemade explosive device found inside his Long Beach, California home. According to federal authorities, the bomb was found during the arrest of a man accused of sending 12 electronic payments to ISIS. And
now remember, we shouldn't be able to see where people are sending money to, right? And the feds are bad. All feds are bad.
Traveling overseas to fight for the terrorist group. FBI investigators say the suspect, Mark Lorenzo Villanueva, is
Okay. Well, let me find a little doohickey here. All right. So let's go back a little bit. All right. Listen to the name, because it's not Osama bin Laden. Yeah.
FBI investigators say the suspect, Mark Lorenzo Villanueva, is charged with providing material support to a foreign terrorist organization. Villanueva is also accused of posting anti-America messages online, including an especially chilling one, "Honor to fight and die for our faith." Former acting ICE Director Jonathan Fahey telling Fox News, with 4 years of open borders before President Trump took office, federal agents are on the lookout for incidents like this one.
We know we had millions and millions of people not knowing what their motivations were, if they were here to harm us, how they were here to harm us, and they're all here and could harm us right now.
All right, that's the point of that. So then let's scroll down here a little bit. And where'd it go? Oh, it looks like some stuff got added since I was looking at it before. Hold on. Okay, some of those are funny. Hello, there he is. Huh. Yeah. So why are we bringing that up? Because people will get in a echo chamber, in a bubble, and they will think that all of the threats against them posed by Muslims come from certain folks, and they don't. Oh, wait, here we go. I should have paid attention a little bit more. I already had it scrolled down to here. We'll show his face again. Yeah, it doesn't look like your standard Muslim terrorist, I guess, right? Why do we say that? For situational awareness, so you don't assume that it's just a certain type of person is going to be doing a certain type of thing. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense, because that's where we're at, man. You see something going on, you look over and you go, well, that does not fit my stereotype of what a Muslim is. So it must not be what I see it is. Instead of going, wait a minute, that dude's screaming Allah Akbar. He don't look like what I think it is, but I need to switch gears and realize what's going on and where I'm at right now. All right. So moving along. Hold on, let me check. And we covered all that. Hold on. We got that. Oh, okay. All right. So let's go a little bit wider picture. Yeah. A little bit what's going on across the entire nation kind of stuff. Yeah. I know all those are different things, but that was kind of more of a in your face stuff right there. Here's this guy. He seems all right. Here's this guy. Jeffries, the leader of the government, I guess, even though his people have no power, he still thinks he's in power. I don't understand that.
Completely and totally out of control group of people. It's the reason why we are in a DHS shutdown right now, because Republicans have refused to agree to the type of bold, transformative, meaningful, and dramatic reforms we are demanding in order for the Department of Homeland Security funding bill to move forward. And I won't go through all of the demands, much of which we've talked about repeatedly in the public, but one of those demands is keep.
Wait, hold on. Let's go back. Let's not. Hold on. This is the exciting part. If you haven't been paying attention, pay attention now. Here comes the important part.
Is keep ICE out of sensitive locations. And we've defined that as schools, houses of worship, hospitals, and polling sites. We want an explicit prohibition that ICE can go nowhere near any polling sites in the United States of America. It's one of our demands. We're not going to bend.
Notice how he repeats the polling sites one? Yeah, hopefully you understand how they get these driver's license issued to them, and then that driver's license counts as government ID, and then they can get on the voter rolls automatically when they get the driver's license, and then they can go vote. Yeah. And what else? All those other places? Well, if you have a guerrilla army acting in an area, you need safe spaces, right? So I can tell you over and over again, out this way in California, for you guys that don't know where I'm at, they want places to run and hide. So if they can run and, I don't know, claim sanctuary, they think they're cool. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Let's see what this guy says.
Voter ID number one. It is about voter registration. It makes it allows ICE to kick tens of millions of people off the rolls, and they don't tell them until election day, and you show up and you say, you're not registered anymore. You're not registered here. You're not on the rolls. Yes, but their bill isn't voter ID, number one. It is about voter registration. It makes it allows ICE.
Okay, so I want to go back to that part. So the left needs a boogeyman, okay? That's one of the ways they maintain power, is they need a boogeyman. So the boogeyman is Orange Man bad, right? The boogeyman is also ice, baby. All right. They need a boogeyman. That way everybody under their umbrella will focus on the boogeyman. And right now the boogeyman is ICE, okay? The boogeyman could be you tomorrow. It just depends on what they got going on. Hold on, let me check, make sure. Okay. Trying to keep on track here instead of me just rambling about. So again, Schumer, that's Schumer, in case you don't know who he is. You notice he's saying that ICE suddenly, which is not, ICE has nothing to do with it. They have no way of doing it. They have no influence on it. They don't go into your local, state, county government, whatever, and say, take these people off the voter rolls. It doesn't work like that, but they need the boogeyman the same way other people need boogeyman. So if you're hanging out with folks and they're going, that's the boogeyman, you come on, man, really? All right. Where was I going next? Hold on. Oh, okay. All right. So then moving along to things that the opposition, and again, for you guys new around here, I did not consider these people my opposition until they said I was the enemy. Wall Street Apes, they got good stuff. And let's see, George Soros, we know that name, speaking of boogeymen, funded a ballot measure called Proposition 64. So the money from this is supposed to go to substance abuse. Instead, California Democrats redirected all the money, $370 million, into registering voters. Yeah, so what happens is they take the money. Hold on. Oh, you know what? We're not going to do that. That's just her talking about this elevated group. So they say, hey, we're going to collect money for the drug stuff, right? And then they say, hey, you know what? We've reallocated that money. It happens all the time here. So they say, let's see, Soros paid for the fake ballot measure, claiming it would help victims of substance abuse. Once passed, all the money collected in new taxes from the ballot measure was then redirected, that's the key one, into registering voters and organizations. So what happens here, and you're going to start seeing happening in other places that are being taken over, is they'll pass a bill like this, and then once they have the money, they will redirect it to other things, such as registering voters. And who do they register? Not you, not me, but other people that will vote for them. Yeah? So that happens over and over again here in California. Money for the roads gets redirected to some social program, right? Whatever it is, they're using our money to defeat us, which you got to hand it to them, man. Good job. They set it up good. You got to give the opposition credit for doing good stuff for themselves. Maybe something we could learn there. I don't know. All right, let's see where this one's at. All right, so here's this guy. Don't know him. He's a Democratic alderman. All right, he says he's tired of his taxes paying for this. Students can't read, children can't write, children don't understand math. Sum total, our children struggle to think critically and logically. And we see a lot of that nowadays. A lot of people have trouble thinking because thinking hurts. Hurt my thinky think, right? And they especially can't think critically or logically. But it says, let's continue to radicalize them to fit the politics of our teachers. Okay, let's go back here real quick. Here's a dude that says he's a Democratic alderman and committeeman saying that they're radicalizing them for their own politics, right? And it says from this person here, that he got it from. Yeah. The Chicago Teachers Union is calling for a day of no school and no work on May 1st. According to the leaked resolution passed earlier this evening, Chicago Public Schools spend about $30K per student per year but only 1 in 3 CPS students can read at grade level and fewer. Huh. Okay, so what makes it really stand out to me here? One, Democratic guy saying, hey, what are you doing? And then the date of May 1st. Why would they want to organize this on May 1st? If you know the answer, good for you. Some folks won't have a clue. So hold on, let me set this one up again. And let's talk about May 1st. What is it about May 1st? All right, so I went to Skynet and I said, Skynet, what is it about May 1st? May Day history. That's just all I asked. May Day is a holiday with 2 distinct histories. One rooted in ancient pagan fertility rituals celebrating spring, and the other the modern labor movement fighting for workers' rights. So it was a Gaelic festival of Beltane. Yeah. Romans had a holiday, Florair. I can't say it. Medieval people did the maypole dancing and all that good stuff. It was a celebration of spring, right? And then May Day became super cool in the 19th century because they got the 8-hour workday. All right, that's cool. There was a Haymaker affair. Chicago's Haymarket Square turned violent after a bomb was thrown at police, leading to the deaths and the execution of several labor activists known as the Heyday Martyrs. Oh, okay. Global adoption, yeah, if I could read. To honor these martyrs, the Second International declared May 1st as International Workers' Day in 1889. Let's see. May Day in the U.S. May Day is not official federal holiday. Labor Day versus May Day. President Cleveland officially moved the U.S. celebration of Labor Day to September. All righty. Why though? Wait, hold on. Wait, what did he do? Moved the celebration of Labor Day to September in 1894 to distance the holiday from the Radical Socialist Association of May 1st. Well, hold on. President Grover Cleveland, well, he wasn't around when I was born, officially moved the U.S. celebration of Labor Day to September in 1894 to distance the holiday from the Radical Socialist Associations of May 1st. So for you guys who've been riding with us for a while, you know I keep trying to say this stuff didn't happen yesterday. You may have just woke up and seen it, but it's been going on for a while. And right here, Skynet has informed us that in 1894, the president had to change the holiday because of radical socialist. Yeah. Let's see. And Cold War stuff. During the 1850s, the U.S. further suppressed May's labor ties by designating May 1st as Law Day or Loyalty Day to counter Soviet-style celebrations. Let's see. Modern resurgence. In recent years, May Day in the U.S. has seen a revival as a day of immigrant rights marches and general labor activism. And then it says May Day is not the same as the distress call. Alrighty. Well, that's interesting. So let's see. We're going to talk about immigrant rights on May Day. And May Day had to be changed because of Soviet-style celebrations. And we had actually changed Labor Day because of radical socialist in 1894. All right, I think I got that point across. That's interesting. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, because it's a communist holiday now. So that's why the teachers want to pick that day, which shows you what they're about. They could have picked yesterday or 3 Tuesdays from now, but they picked that day for a very specific reason. All this stuff's going on around you, and you can stick your head in the sand or just go la 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 la, but it's all happening around you. It all affects you. Speaking of things affecting you, let's move on to the next thing I found interesting. Let's see, Wall Street Apes again. Let's see. Let me scroll down, and let's just hear this fellow's video. I don't know if he gives credit to this dude. I don't know who this fella is at the bottom. I don't know where it came from, so I can't give him credit. But let's listen.
Some guy from Bangladesh just banned American citizens from owning firearms in Virginia. Saddam Salim, a state senator in Virginia, has crafted SB 749, banning all types of the possession, sale, etc. of firearms. It has passed the legislation. It's going to the governor's desk. She is a hard.
Okay, did you guys hear that, right? They're going to ban everything, and the governor's going to sign it because we know Virginia is the latest state to fall to who? The socialist.
Hardcore leftist and will most likely sign it. Saddam wasn't born in our country. He came here like 5 minutes ago in the year 2000, and he does not celebrate our history and our Constitution.
Okay, so I don't care that the dude just got here. So he got here in 2020, and now he's writing laws that will take weapons away, the Second Amendment away from people in Virginia. So I don't want to hear any, what's the word I want to use? Fucking excuses from people sitting on their couches saying, there's nothing we can do. This dude came from another country in 2020 and is telling you what's going to be legal and illegal. Why? Because he doesn't have excuses and he doesn't sit on the couch like you do.
You know, when you were a kid and you experienced those hot, muggy 4th of July nights, eating barbecue with the family, maybe holding a sparkler, watching the fireworks. He didn't experience that. Do you remember when you were in school, you said the Pledge of Allegiance, you sang My Country 'Tis of Thee, you learned all about American history, maybe you watched the cartoon about the bill. Saddam didn't experience that. We have to stop the foreign invasion of our country with people who do not celebrate American ideals.
And how do we stop that? Oh, just think if there was somebody native born filling that seat. But I know there's nothing we can do. Hold on. I don't think there's anything else in there I needed to grab. Oh, the bill, I just want to go over this again. The bill prohibits import, manufacture, sell, purchase, or transfer of defined assault firearms. Example given. Semi-automatic rifles, pistols, or shotguns with features like folding stocks, pistol grips, threaded barrels for suppressors, or fixed magazines over 10 rounds, and large capacity ammunition feeding devices, magazines holding more than 15 rounds. Yeah. So again, this dude can show up and in 5 years be in a position to write laws that you will submit to, but there's nothing you can do, right? Hi, Blackfield guys. There's nothing that can be done. I don't know. He's doing something, and he's only been here 5 years. So stop making excuses. Let me see where we're at. Hold on. We got that. All right. So let's go to a bigger picture, right? We're gonna bring it out a little bit more, and this next one's gonna be somebody that we all enjoy watching, and we're gonna break down some of what he's actually saying while he's saying it. And I'm sure this fellow right here needs no introduction. This is where I got it from. Don't know who this dude is. Yeah, so in case you don't know, that, or you can't see it on your phone, that's former President Obama. Let's see, he turned Jesse Jackson's funeral into a political rally today, using his eulogy to launch a full-on rant against MAGA. Let's see, what does he have to say? Oh, hold on, I gotta turn the sound on. Bink. All right, there we go.
Today we wake up to some new assault on our democratic institutions.
Democratic institutions. I don't think we live in a democracy, but they keep saying we do.
Another setback to the idea of the rule of law.
The rule of law. Yes, the laws they want to rule you with, as we just saw a moment ago.
An offense to common decency. Every day you wake up to things you just didn't think were possible. Each day we're told by those in high office to fear each other and to turn on each other, and that some Americans count more than others. And that
Notice he said some Americans count more than others. Anybody notice there's been a push to say that the entire Western Hemisphere is America?
some don't even count at all. Everywhere we see greed and bigotry being celebrated and bullying.
And bullying. Anybody remember when bullying first started coming up? There was no such thing when I was a young lad. You either got bullied or you punched him in the mouth. But now it's bullying. You're bullying me. I actually had a grown man tell on me at work because I bullied him, but he still acts like he's a tough guy.
And mockery masquerading as strength. We see science and expertise denigrated while ignorance and dishonesty and cruelty and corruption are reaping untold rewards every single day. We see that.
Okay, why does he bring up the science and education and all that? Because, go back to COVID, follow the science, listen to the people that have the degrees that you don't have because you're an idiot, and only the people that we deem to have the proper knowledge can tell you what to do. He's just pushing the theme of the socialist bullshit coup that we've been seeing for years now.
And it's hard to hope in those moments. So it may be tempting to get discouraged, to give in to cynicism. It may be tempting for some to compromise with power and grab what you can, or even for good people to maybe just put your head down and wait for the storm to pass.
All right. How many people do you know are putting their heads down? That's their plan. I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to wait for the storm to pass. Well, here's what they're telling their people to do.
But this man, Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson, inspires us to take a harder path. His voice calls on each of us to be heralds of change, to be messengers of hope, to step forward and say, send me. Wherever we have a chance to make an impact, whether it's in our school, or our workplaces, or our neighborhoods, or our cities, not for fame, not for glory, or because success is guaranteed.
He's telling them to go to education places, to their cities, to get out there and do things and not just put their head in the sand. That is what the, de facto leader of the opposition is telling their people to do.
But because it gives our life purpose, because it aligns with what our faith tells us God demands, and because if we don't step up, no one else will. How fortunate we were that Jesse Jackson answered that call. What a great debt we owe to him. May God bless Reverend Jackson. May he rest in eternal peace.
And right at the end, oh, yeah, this guy's dead. But so that's what they're telling their people to do, right? All right. And then some people say, well, that's not really like, I don't know, maybe. No, this dude's been doing this stuff for a while. So let's go and grab this other one. Here's where I got this one from. Don't know nothing about that person. Yeah, Obama did this same crap in 2020 at John Lewis's funeral. Really? What did he do then? Let's see.
But today, we witness with our own eyes police officers kneeling on the necks of Black Americans. George Wallace may be gone, but we can witness our federal government sending agents to use tear gas and batons against peaceful demonstrators. We may no longer have to guess the number of jelly beans in a jar.
That was during the BLM riots he's talking about.
In order to cast a ballot. But even as we sit here, there are those in power who are doing their darndest to discourage people from voting by closing polling locations and targeting minorities and students with restrictive ID laws and attacking our voting rights with surgical precision, even undermining the Postal Service in the run-up to an election that's going to be dependent on mail-in ballots so people don't get sick.
All right, enough of that one. So there's things going on that most people just don't pay attention to. That's a whole lot of what we're hitting right now, stuff that people aren't paying attention to. Why? Because Iran got blown up. Let's talk about that. Focus on that. All this other stuff's going on. It's been going on. What was our example? 1894, and it's still rolling. So as I often like to say, we like to show it from the horse's mouth. Yeah. So here's this fella. I don't know how to say that. Neo something or another. And here's a Muslim fella. Hold on. Where's the guys in Texas? Everything's bigger in Texas. You'll hear that in a minute. Where's all the cool guys in Texas that don't want to be like California? Well, let's hear.
Direct look at this clip here, please. And you guys listen close. Do you hear anything that concerns you here? Watch.
The election of somebody like Mamdani, it is a game changer. We need somebody like Mamdani to be the mayor of New York. And that is a victory for the ummah. And of our greatest strengths, like I said, the political freedoms we have. The guy tried not once, not twice, 8 times.
Okay, who's the guy? Hold on. Let's see who the guy is.
To shut our project down. And the project is still going full steam ahead. Do you understand what I'm saying here? The governor of one of the largest states of the world, Texas, everything's big in Texas, wanted to stop, and he tried. وَمَكَرُوا وَمَكَرَ اللَّهُ. Multiple ways he tried. Alhamdulillah, that bill did not pass because of multiple reasons. Of them, we employed our lobbyists, money in the lobby. Our biggest weakness is our percentage in this country.
Okay, hold on. So he's talking about the percentage. They need to have more Muslims in the country. So for you guys that don't know, that's how they've done it over and over again for thousands of years, is increase the percentage, then take over if they don't straight take over by force of arms.
We are very disadvantaged. By the way, this is only in this country, because across the Western world, mashallah, tabarakallah, percentages are rising to the point of it's terrifying them. Sweden, 10% Muslim. Oslo, Norway, 10% Muslim. Vienna, the Ottoman Turks tried 200 years, they couldn't do anything. Vienna is 10% Muslim, mashallah, tabarakallah. England, London, it is estimated 20%.
They're telling you to your face exactly what their plan is. They want to take over. Now, you can call this the radical side of Islam. You can call this Islam as a whole. But whatever it is, it needs to be looked into, investigated, and stopped. What's your take? Can we get...
All right, so I wanted to make sure and let this dude say his piece at the end again. Because I'm not the only one saying it. But dude's telling you. He's telling you what countries they think they took over, right? So the way it works is they get some people in there. Oh, we're oppressed. We're the minority. You're hurting us. You're abusing us. They get some more people in. Then they start taking over the city council, the school boards, right? And then you heard them as they get more and more. They just start taking more and more. He's straight telling you what it is. And speaking of jolly old England, there's something going on there. That's the next step, because if you want to see what's going on, here's Wall Street apes again. If you want to see what's going on, what's going to happen here, it's happening in England already. Says the UK Liberal government under douchebag announces a new official definition of Islamophobia, right? So everything's with the purpose. They purposely have this lady here with this background saying these words.
Publishing our definition of anti-Muslim hatred and hostility. And this is in response to what we have heard loud and clear from the Muslim community. 45% of the hate crime that we're seeing in this country is targeted our Muslim communities. And we know that people are anxious, they're scared, they're worried. Defining what is going on is the first step to taking action. But the definition must sit alongside action in order to make sure that we are protecting people in this country and that we're also tackling those that want to sow hate and those that want to intimidate. And that's why we will be appointing an anti-Muslim hostility czar to work alongside government to make sure that we are rolling this out in institution after institution and taking the robust action we need to make sure that everyone in our country feels protected, feels safe, and can be living their lives without fear.
All right, a couple things there. Notice she said institution by institution. Huh. Who else does things institution by institution? The leftists. Oh, and hey, guess what that actually is? If you go along with the Muslim way of taking over a place, those are called blasphemy laws. So they'll get in a position of power. Then they'll say, you can say nothing wrong about our religion ever. It's blasphemy. All right, moving along. Wait, there's a place that fella mentioned. That fella mentioned somewhere. And this is this person. Don't know much about him. Police in Oslo, Norway. Wasn't he just bragging about they got people there? Have confirmed that the U.S. Embassy was targeted earlier today by an explosive device. Exploded outside the entrance to the embassy, resulting in minor injuries and damage. So why am I bringing that up? One, because that dude said, yay, look, we got a lot of people there. Two, anybody remember in Iran when they took the embassy? So for some guys, it just doesn't have the same meaning as it does to me. There are young Marines there attempting to not be taken hostage. But, you know, they get enough Muslim people there, I guess they can take that one too, right? Just like they did in Iran, which people tend to be like, I don't know, yeah, they took it, yeah. Everybody says, oh, America started it, yeah, no. But we won't get into that right now. Let's move on to this one. Let's see. Heavy police presence reported in Toronto after gunfire struck the U.S. consulate early this morning. Wait, let's see. Yeah, there it is right there. People shooting at it. Here's where I got this one from. Don't know much about them. Yeah, so another attack on America overseas in what kind of countries? Canada? So it's bigger than your backyard, in case you didn't realize that. And then going along, since I mentioned Iran, let's go over here to Iran over here. Yeah, but not what you guys think. Everybody's like, oh, yay, no. Here's where I got this. Don't know much about that person. So, yeah, got it from this person. Don't know who that is. It won't show up. Gosh darn it. So just a friendly reminder that all the university students and Marxists who work with the Islamists to overthrow the Shah in Iran were all later murdered by the same Islamist. See all these women right here? They don't seem to be able to run around in Iran dressed like this anymore. But they were useful idiots for the Islamists to take over. Just a little reminder from history. It's also when they took the embassy. Yeah. And then, okay, I need to figure out how to make this bigger. Will that work? There we go. Okay, hold on. Now I'll share it with you guys. I'm getting old and I can't read the little tiny print anymore. So here we go. And some of you will see this face and go, hey, I know him. Yeah. I can't make it go. It won't go now that I did that. All right. So let's see. You see the useful idiots, the leftists who are idealistic, believing in the beauty of Soviet socialism or communism or whatever system. When they get disillusioned, they become the worst enemies. That's why his KGB instructor specifically made a point. Never bother with leftists. Forget about those political prostitutes. Now, why do we know they're prostitutes? Because they change their flag every month. Every month it's a new flag. Every month your Facebook thing has to have a new flag put in it. You got to pledge allegiance to some new group every month. Oh. Let's see, was it worth reading after that? Let's see, you leftists in the United States, all these professors and all these beautiful civil rights defenders, they're instruments in the process of the subversion. Only to destabilize a nation. When their job is complete, they are not needed anymore. They know too much. Some of them, when they see that Marxist-Leninist has come to power, obviously they get offended. They think that they will come to power. They will never happen, of course. They will be lined up against the wall and shot. In case you don't know who this is, it's Yuri Bezmenov. He was a former KGB propagandist. And so much of what this guy has said has come to fruition. Ooh, that was a big word right there. I used the word fruition. All right, so now I got a question for you guys. This will be your homework, right? Because we're trying to use our thinky thinks, yeah? Anybody know what's going on in Cuba? All this other stuff going on all around us, there's stuff happening in Cuba. So I'll give you the starting point of what is happening in Cuba. And then as your homework, you could go back later and put a comment in here saying, hey, this is what's going on. This is where I got this from. Don't know nothing about that person. And the domino effect is happening live. Protesters have erupted in Cuba with people shouting, down with the communists, freedom, freedom, freedom. Wait, what? In Cuba? All right, enough of that. They're just getting noisier and noisier. So here's your homework. Find out why Cuba is like that. Huh? What is going on in Cuba? What world events are affecting Cuba to the point that the people are in the street screaming freedom, freedom, freedom? Because isn't Cuba a socialist utopia? Everyone gets free education. Everyone gets free healthcare there, right? It's held up as this is what you want to be like. This is where the leaders of the revolution come from. We need to be like them. I don't know. Who went there for training? Oh, the mayor of LA, Karen Bass. She went there several times to learn how to lead us like they lead in Cuba. So what could be affecting that? It is a socialist utopia, is it not? Alrighty. Now we're going to move on to one of my favorite conversation pieces. Oh, look, it's Mayor Zorhan Mandani, the New York City communist, socialist, whatever, Islamic mayor. So this is called propaganda. This would be your propaganda. How to spot it, how to recognize it, how not to be influenced by it. Here's his statement on the bombing that we saw, or the attempted bombing that we saw earlier. Listen to the verbiage. Hold on, let me get it. Yesterday, white supremacist Jake Lane organized a protest outside Gracie Mansion, rooted in bigotry and racism. Such hate has no place in New York City. It is an affront to our city's values and the unity that defines who we are. I'll apologize. I can't make my voice go high enough to sound like him. What followed was even more disturbing. Violence at a protest is never acceptable. The attempt to use an explosive device and hurt others is not only criminal, it is reprehensible and the antithesis of who we are. I want to thank the brave men and women of New York PD, who I stole all their retirement money from. Sorry, who acted quickly to keep New Yorkers safe. Our officers ran towards danger without hesitation, demonstrating once again the courage and dedication it takes to protect this city every single day. My administration is closely monitoring the situation, and I remain in close contact with our police commissioner. All right, how is that propaganda? Well, let's set the tone of the post. White supremacist, bigotry, racism, hate. Violence. There was violence. Who committed the violence? Nowhere in there does it mention Islamic, terrorist, hateful Muslims. None of that. What it does is it says white supremacist. And this dude, Jake Lang, whose name I try not to really remember, just feeds him the ability to say this. Instead of Jake, some dude who was just happened to be protesting there, had a foaming at the mouth Muslim throw a bomb at him that failed to detonate because they don't want Jake to have a First Amendment right because that's blasphemy. No. Because of Jake Lang's retardedness, they can say white supremacist, bigotry, and racism. This is called propaganda. So many people will read this, and if you read it, you think that Jake Lang caused violence. Yeah. Speaking of which, I guess one of his people pepper sprayed some folks ahead of the bomb throwing. So they're trying to say that due to them being pepper sprayed, a bomb was thrown at them. Not that those two young scumbags drove from wherever they lived with the bombs, because they just didn't make them in the back seat of the car real quick with the intent of deploying them. It's because that idiot dude Jake Lang, his people pepper sprayed some folks. So in retaliation, here comes a bomb. That's how it works. All right, so let's look at some failures in propaganda. All right, let's see some failures. And this is on the big stage, right? Here's Jill. I don't know who Jill is. This is not local. This is not even national. This is on the big stage, right? So they're talking about that Iranian boat that was sunk by a submarine, the first sinking of a boat by a submarine since World War II. But they got this fellow on there, and they want to talk to him. And which news thing is this? I can't remember. ABC. Okay, here we go.
Don Rothwell is Professor of International Law at ANU with a specific focus on the law of the sea. Don Rothwell.
Okay, now hold on for a second. She gave his credentials, right? Let's go back to what Obama said. Education, science, you got to have those pieces of paper. If you don't have those pieces of paper, nobody has to listen to you. You don't know nothing. You're a dipshit. So they start off with this dude giving us bona fides to set him up as an expert in this field so you will listen to him.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So what was your initial reaction to the sinking of the Iranian warship off the coast of Sri Lanka?
Really quite surprised, because this is a significant escalation by the United States in terms of the area of combat operations extending well into the Indian Ocean and quite some considerable distance from where we've seen the conflict really being centred at the moment in the Middle East.
Well, that sounds like a good answer. And he's got a British accent, which makes it sound even better. And he uses the big words.
So the U.S. Secretary of Defense and War, Pete Hegseth, in announcing the news of the sinking.
Oh, quick side note. You notice she called Pete Hegseth the Secretary of Defense and War because they refused to call it the War Department, even though it's officially been changed. I know it's silly, but that's how they work.
Said the Iranian warship, quote, thought it was safe in international waters. Should it have been?
Look, I think we need to make it quite clear here that given that we have an armed conflict at the moment between the United States and Iran, any member of the Iranian military is a legitimate combatant, and as a legitimate combatant, they become a legitimate target for the United States in most settings. So the fact that the Iranian warship was, as I said, in the Indian Ocean off the coast of Sri Lanka at some considerable distance from the major area of combat operations really gives it no immunity under those settings.
So wait, the ship was not immune to being attacked. Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on.
So it was still breaking international law in taking this action?
No, what I'm saying is that the United States did have a right as a combatant to be able to target the Iranian warship, even though it was in international waters in the Indian Ocean off the Sri Lankan coast. So there's no real issue there in terms of international humanitarian law and the legitimacy of the US targeting of this vessel. But as I'm saying, on the basis of the evidence that I see before it at the moment, there's no real issue about this actual strike on this Iranian naval vessel.
So should
Wait. She tried to tell him to say it was illegal, and he's saying, nope. Remember, he's got the credentials. He got education.
we be concerned in Australia that the US-Iranian conflict could come to our waters if indeed an Iranian warship does come close to our shores?
Well, look, I think that's fairly unlikely in terms of, at the moment, Iranian warships being off the coast of Australia or even close to Australia. But I think what this does highlight is the potential for escalation of the conflict. We've heard also overnight reports of Iranian missiles perhaps overflying Turkey, and now we've got this US missile submarine strike in the Indian Ocean. That certainly indicates that the area of intense military operations and conflict that we're seeing centered around Israel, Iran, and adjacent.
Okay, little side note. You notice that she was trying to get him to say it was illegal, and he didn't, but they didn't change the video they're playing in the background. So he was supposed to say it was illegal, and then you were supposed to see the Orange Man bad.
Middle Eastern states is certainly capable of being extended into much wider waters. And that's, I think, the grave concern for certainly the Australian government at the moment.
Yeah. Don Rothwell.
Okay, so that kind of backfired on him, no? Because it's not illegal. And I've heard people that are Americans say, that violated the War Act and blah, 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 blah. No, dude, it didn't. There's nothing illegal about that. So I do think it's funny that the propaganda blew up in her face, or the attempt at it. All right, so now let's do one more of this thing. Hold on. There we go. Dono Republic Media Network. All right. So this guy is going to say that he wants to hear that it was illegal also, right? We're not going to do the whole thing here.
Serious from an Indian point of view. You see, this ship has been sunk in waters which are the search and rescue area of Sri Lanka in the Indian Ocean. And we were alarmed when we heard that a Chinese submarine was operating in this area. Now an American submarine comes and sinks an Iranian warship 370 kilometers from Kanyakumari. The foreign minister of Sri Lanka has just briefed parliament and said 180 were on board and over 100 are feared killed. 30 are seriously injured. But most importantly, I think we can't afford to be too blasé and look the other way on it, because this ship was our guest. And if anybody in Ministry of External Affairs or the Government of India wants to downplay this, they can call me and tell me why they want anyone to downplay it. How can you downplay it? This is our guest. They were invited by us for the International Fleet Review.
All right, so that's his whole gist of what's wrong. They were their guest. And in the comments down there, there's people are saying they should have took them all the way to Iran. Okay, so hold on.
And the Indian Navy chief personally met the commander of this ship. And now it's been sunk. Where is the strategic partnership we are supposed to have with the United States of America? Are they not aware how this will embarrass us?
How this will embarrass us because they were their guest.
Are they not aware about how this will embarrass us, Ambassador Deepak Vora, or do they not care?
Right.
Okay, here we go.
Thank you very much. As always, a pleasure to be with you. I just heard the two generals, and I'm sure that I'm going to hear our other colleague. So what are you going to do about it? The fellow came here. You heard the press conference of the American Defense Secretary, reeks of arrogance, and his Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff, the Air Force General. You hurt us, hurt American lives, take American lives, we'll hunt you down wherever you are in the world. We have the capability to do it. So this guy comes because he's participating in the fleet review before the war broke out.
Before the war broke out. Yeah. Okay. Notice he doesn't call them Secretary of War either.
After it started, the Israelis and the Americans have said very clearly that every Iranian asset, military asset, is fair game for us. What if they sent all their ships off to Iraq or to South Africa or whatever remains? Then what would the Americans do? Say, no, these guys are our friends, we won't do it. No, sir. There's nothing in international law that prohibits the Americans from hitting an enemy vessel that is in international waters. Now,
well, hold on. There's another guy who says nothing was illegal about the hit from the sub.
The impact on us, certainly. We are going to take it up diplomatically and say you shouldn't have done this. Should have waited for these jokers to come out a little further away from Sri Lanka. You could have sunk them then. The argument that they were our guests and you sunk them doesn't hold. What if they had gone 400 kilometers, 500 kilometers away from us?
So their whole argument is they were our guest. They were our guest. And there's got to be international law against this. Well, there's not. But notice how the propaganda is not working. But then you get this guy saying that, you know, he's moving around, blah, blah, blah. Anti-Muslim agenda. He's also pro-American Israel. Huh. He doesn't see Indian interested. Yeah. Yeah. So the very fact that the Iranian ship had come to India as our strategic partner for any future eventuality against any common enemy. Huh. The important part. The Indian Navy was duty-bound to protect it till it had reached Iran safely. Huh. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, and it says it's not a direct hit on Indian Navy or indirectly on Modi government and the Indian national interest. Yeah. So, no law, but they should have let him go all the way back home. What? Touch home plate and then game on? Okay. So, keeping with the propaganda theme here, we only got a couple more of these here. This has got to be one of the silliest ones I've seen. Not really. There's actually just funny ones. But this one's actually from Iran, and it actually says it's sinking one of our ships. So, for the slow kids in the back, that's AI. If you didn't see the same ship pass by 2 or 3 times in the background, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah? But videos like that are being put out, right? Iran saying stuff. We've killed 5,000 American troops. And supposedly Americans are like, we're losing. We should just give up now. Wave the right flag. There's no reason for this. We've covered the reasons for all this, yeah? All right, and then speaking of propaganda to get likes and clicks and shares and collect money from people or whatever, here's where I got this one from. Don't know nothing about that dude. But here's Tucker Carlson. And I don't care how he tries to frame this. He's just talking shit about every American serviceman, past, present, future.
Unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter if they want. And everyone knows that. And that has been, if there's one consistent lesson of history, it means unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter. Everyone can feel that. That's like the most atavistic instinct there is. And so to avoid that, people will do anything. And so that's why it requires that level of force to get a population subdued to the point of unconditional surrender. That's why. And so in this case, of course, we don't have the ground force necessary. I don't think Americans would voluntarily participate in it. I just don't think we can do that. It would require weapons of mass destruction. It would require presumably nuclear weapons in order to do that. And let's not lie to ourselves. We're moving toward that.
Yeah. I don't know where he gets that from, but it's getting him the likes and clicks he wants. Yeah. Never have U.S. troops done that. And to say that that's the goal, he's just shitting on everybody. And it's ridiculous, but it feeds somebody's propaganda. It gets him money. Yeah. All right. So we're going to do something else here that you rarely ever see ever in YouTube land. Well, what can we do? Everybody has spent I spent an hour and 20 minutes talking about this stuff, and they'll just throw it out every day and they'll jump on here every day. What you never see is what can you do? Right? We've touched on it a couple times in here. We've said what they're doing. The biggest thing you can do is vote. The biggest thing you can do is get involved locally, right? Get out there, do things, talk to people, all that, right? They never tell you what to do. It's always, woe is us. The end is not, or here, however the heck you say it. There's nothing that can be done. There's things that can be done. You could start with simple stuff, right? So watch this. Here's Libs of TikTok. I like them. You wouldn't have seen this a couple months ago, but people are starting to stand up and say no.
USA! USA!
So those are kids walking out for a ICE protest, probably organized by their teachers, and other kids booing them, right? For some folks, you can still do that. Like back here behind the lines, that would be real hard for us to do because let's say one of my kids was sitting there booing them. Well, the protesters would say it's okay if 6 or 7 of them jumped on my kid and beat the snot out of him. It's a reality of living behind the lines, right? But people always say there's nothing we can do. Yeah, there's something you could do if you're still in free America. Don't get taken over. Yeah. Well, what else can we do? Here's where we get this one from. Little protest going on, right? A vigil for the dead supreme leader of Iran who's killed how many Americans?
You show your face! You pedophiles! Fuck you pedophiles! USA! USA!
Please go back, please.
Bother us. They don't bother us at all. Larry Holmes. I am from Workers' World Party. And
so there's some folks out doing something. And hold on, let me go over here. We'll grab another one real quick of examples of what you can be doing besides voting, getting involved, and doing all the things Obama told you that you should be doing. Oh, wait, he told his side that. Here's where I get this one from. And what are they doing? Yeah, just doing what? Oh, doing what they do. All right. And then here, if you can't do any of the other stuff, and you don't want to jump up and down and make all that noise, you can do this. Yeah? Can I get that to get bigger? There we go. So this says dump Trump, and this one says Trump's a liar, and this one says two dumbasses, and he's pointing it at him. Yeah? You can at least do that. All right. And then if you can't, you're like, oh, getting involved doesn't matter. No. There's nothing we can do. Just lay down and take it. Here's this fella. So he went to the Hawaii Election Committee and forced the state's chief election officer to comply with federal election law. So I won't read this whole thing, right? But last night, the 9-member commission, 5 Democrats, 4 Republicans, heard testimony from citizens. Commissioner, whoever, made a motion to force the the people that aren't doing it right, to finally produce the legal required HAVA state plan. The motion passed. Things got worse for the communists. Another motion passed, ordering officials to count ballot envelopes from the Big Island. Wow. Let's see. An inspector general has an investigation open into Scott Nago for falsely certifying in writing to the federal election committee that their state plan for HAV is current when it is not. So what's he doing? He's making them follow the rules by getting involved. I know. So people are like, get involved. I'll have to get up. At the very least, if you can do nothing else, you can do this, right? Something we all should be doing. This is where I got it from. Says, oh wait, he got it from this person. Says hundreds of people just showed up to the funeral of the veteran with no known relatives in Nashville, Tennessee. The public was invited to attend to ensure the veteran was honored and not laid to rest alone. At the very least, you could probably do that if you hear about that going on, right? Do something. Everybody's got to do something, yeah? All right, so that's all I got for right now. People are saying, hey, why aren't you covering all this other stuff? Because, man, I'm not jumping in here just to get likes and clicks, right? So we'll go over stuff as it comes along. If something big comes up, I'll jump on here. Maybe I'll start doing the Monday coffee thing again. I'm not sure. But again, that's all I got for this week. Appreciate you guys been riding with us, especially when we're changing things up a little bit. Do something. Don't just sit on your ass. Be situationally aware. It's getting a little dangerous out there right now. For some of us, I guess it's always dangerous, but everybody needs to wake up. Stuff's going on. If you have an idea of something we need to cover or whatever, please let me know. And as always, stay safe.
Today, get up, take your place and stand.